What's happening everyone, my name is Alex and welcome back to a new review. For today I have one of the biggest phones I've ever seen. This one is called the UHANS MAX 2 and it has a massive 6.44 inches display. Even compared to other big phones like the Samsung Galaxy Note 8 or the Samsung Galaxy S8 Plus, yeah, this phone feels and looks huge. Now, leaving the size aside, the price for this phone is quite low, so you can buy this phone for about $140, and for that price we do get a lot of value. So as I mentioned earlier, we get a 6.44 inches display that has a 1080p resolution. We also have the MediaTek 6750T, which is an octa-core CPU. We have 4 gigs of RAM and 64 gigs of internal storage. Out of that 64 gigs of internal storage, we only have about 54 gigs available. However, you can always install an SD card as internal storage. And there is more. We have two cameras on the front of the device. We have a 13 megapixel camera and a 2 megapixel camera, and we even have a flash, and we have another two cameras on the back of the device. So another 13 megapixel camera and a 2 megapixel camera. Unfortunately, like most cheaper phones from China, the secondary cameras on the front and on the back are just useless. So you could technically take pictures with that cool bokeh effect. However, all the pictures turn out like crap. So the secondary cameras are just useless on this device. If you just take regular looking pictures with the front facing camera, so the 13 megapixel sensor, the pictures do turn out okay. I mean, they're not perfect, but better than other phones that we've seen in the past. And even the pictures taken in low light, so selfies taken in low light, look okay. The rear camera does much better than the front facing camera, but that was to be expected. So all the pictures that you are seeing right now are actually taken with this device. So as you can see, the colors are nice and vibrant and the pictures have a lot of detail in them. The dynamic range could be improved, however it is acceptable as it is, considering that the phone costs only about $140, but low light pictures don't look that great, so as soon as it gets dark the pictures become kind of grainy and blurry. Now, just before we go any further, can you help me out by pressing that like button? It's gonna make a huge difference for this video. So how good is that 4300 mAh battery, considering that we have a 6.44 inches display and that MediaTek 6750T? Well, you're gonna be able to make it through an entire day, so over 24 hours in between charges, and out of that about 6 hours of screen on time. So even though it's not the best that I've seen, it's not bad considering the price of the phone. The phone itself, it's mostly made out of metal and it doesn't feel cheap by any means. So the back and the sides are made out of metal, however the top and the bottom are actually made out of plastic. The power button, the volume keys and the SIM card tray are sitting on the right hand side of the device, and they're also made out of metal, and on top you're gonna find the 3.5mm audio jack. The sound coming out of that 3.5mm audio jack, it's not bad at all, it's loud and crisp, so I don't really have any complaints about it. And at the bottom of the device we're gonna find what looks like two speakers. However, we actually have one speaker and a microphone, and in between we have the micro USB charging port. The phone supports OTG as well, and it takes about 3 hours to fully charge the device from 0 to 100. As for the speaker, well, considering the size of the phone, I was actually expecting a louder speaker, so even though the speaker is not bad, it doesn't get that loud. And we are moving to the front of the device. So first of all, we have huge bezels all around the screen, and that makes the phone even bigger. I mean, if we would have smaller bezels, the phone would be much easier to hold in one hand, because like this it's kind of difficult to hold. So leaving that aside, we have a 6.44 inches display with a 1080p resolution, and this is also an IPS panel. The viewing angles are great, the colors are nice and vibrant, so no complaints there, but I wish the screen would get a bit brighter, because if you go outside in direct sunlight it is a bit difficult to actually see the screen. As for the screen sensitivity, well, it's not bad at all, so you can touch the screen in 10 places in the same time and the screen will register, and I haven't really had any issues whenever I was typing, playing games, browsing or anything like that. The navigation buttons at the bottom of the screen can also be moved around from the software, and that's great because a lot of people prefer the back button on the other side, and we also have a physical button just underneath those buttons. So that physical button, it's also a fingerprint scanner. However, the fingerprint scanner, it's not the most accurate that I've tried, so sometimes you have to touch it a couple of times for it to register and unlock the screen, which could become annoying at times. Performance-wise, well, we don't have the fastest CPU out there, therefore the scores on the Antutu benchmark and the Geekbench 4 aren't the highest that we've seen, but they're quite normal and in line with all the other Chinese devices that we've seen in the past couple of months. Luckily, the phone is running stock Android, and that means that there is nothing holding the phone back and it performs quite well even though we have that MediaTek 6750T. And since this phone is running Android 7, we can take full advantage of all the features of Android 7. So like the Google Assistant, for example, that one works great without any issues. And we can also use the split screen feature, so opening two apps on the same screen in the same time. So realistically, I don't have any complaints about this phone's UI. Everything works as it should be, and even the multitasking works good. So you can keep a whole bunch of apps running in the background and the phone will not close them. I've also tried a whole bunch of apps and games on this device and they all seem to perform quite well. Now it takes a bit longer for the apps to open when comparing this to a much more expensive device. So basically a flagship device. On the YouTube app, the maximum resolution is 1080p and that's basically the maximum resolution of the screen. However, all the videos did seem to go quite well at that resolution. I've also played a couple of games on this device and they both went very well, and I believe that most games that you're going to be able to download from the Google Play Store will do just fine. Now the phone gets a bit hot, mostly around the cameras, so I'm imagining that the CPU is sitting somewhere around there, but other than that everything seems to work okay. The GPS unit inside this phone works great. It only takes a couple of seconds to find your location, and once your location is found, it doesn't seem to lose it. And of course, using apps like Google Maps or Waze works good as well. Connectivity wise, the phone can connect to 4G networks, and we also have dual band Wi-Fi, but like most cheaper devices from China, there is no NFC, but that was to be expected. The speaker on top here gets quite loud, so it's much louder than most other phones that I've tried, so no issues with that. And the speeds that I got over 4G and over the Wi-Fi networks are appropriate and good for a phone in this price range. As for sensors, well, the phone shows like it's got a whole bunch of sensors, including a gyroscope. However, in reality, the gyroscope doesn't actually work. So the gyroscope that shows up in there, it's actually faked. And it's time to conclude this video. So if you're looking for a massive phone but you're on a budget, this could be a good choice. I mean, we have a massive 6.44 inches display that's awesome for gaming or watching videos or anything like that. The battery life, it's not the best, but that has to do with that MTK 6750T because it's not the most power efficient. Of course, the cameras could be improved, but let's keep in mind the price of the device because it's only $140, and for $140 we do get a lot of value. Alright guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did like it, press that like button, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.